Hey everyone, welcome to the matchup here. This is ESL Pro League Counter Logic Gaming up against Splyce. Both of these teams have quite a bit at stake here tonight, and we're going to get going right into this pistol round. Of course, CLG, as you may already know, 12-8 in regulation, 2-2 in OT, and 14-10 overall. They're on a 3-game losing streak, though. Had they won one of those 3 games, they wouldn't have to be worrying about what they are worrying about tonight, which is making the playoffs. They have 42 points, they have energy right on their heels, and Cloud9 and Luminosity at, I believe, 38 points apiece. So, I mean, they have to win at least one of these maps to come out and ensure they make the playoffs. It's not going to be easy against a squad like Splyce. You know, Splyce not doing well in Pro League, but they're still a very solid team. Ricky going to come out, open up the fragging here against Davey, but Drone comes out with 2, then Roka finds FNS. Ethan's hiding in the corner there, cannot survive, and then Roka's going to finish it off with the headshot over on Kusta. So that will be that for the round. Splyce picks up the first one, but as I was saying, Splyce number 12 overall. They are one of the teams that were brought up from MDL last season. There were 3, Ghost Gaming, Rogue, and Splyce. They're the only team that's doing relatively decently, I would say. You have Ghost Gaming at a paltry 10 points in last place. They're already auto-relegated back to MDL, and Rogue at 18 points. They're going to have to play a relegation match. Now, if Splyce manages to get 1 more point than Immortals, they can avoid that relegation match. That means Immortal has to go 1-1 or 0-2, while Splyce has to win both. If Immortals go 1-1 and they only have to win 1 if Immortal goes 0-2. Anyway, that's all said. There's the action happening again. Roka going to get the headshot over on Kusta. FNS finds 2, then Drone trades it back. It's really a little bit confusing, but suffice to say they need 1 more point than Immortals to avoid the relegation match. They're the only team from that MDL rank up that can do so this time around. Splyce Drone going to get the headshot over on Ethan. And now Ricky is going to walk right into the crosshairs of Davey, and that will be that. So, 2-0 in favor of Splyce, guys. And it looks like CLG going to be on a full save this time around, only 2K in the bank. Kusta has 4, but probably going to save that for his op in the next round, as Kusta is the main opper over on CLG. And you have FNS, the IGL, since Hazed left the squad, taking over those duties. Splyce looking to pick up a 3rd round here. It should be relatively straightforward for them. Kusta going to be the first one to go down there on CGL. Ricky jumps up on the green train, gets 1, but Drone, Roka, and Mitch pitch in for 3 frags there, and Splyce going to come out with another easy round victory, but as expected with that eco. And it's going to be 3-0 in their favor. Starting lineups for both teams, you have Ricky, who's been on a little bit of a tear as of late. 77 frags in the last 4 matches in Pro League. 86.37 ADR. FNS, Kusta, Ethan, and Cutler. Over on Splyce, you have Drone, Roka, Mitch, Davey, and Semphis. As here we go. Round number 4, the first full buyout for CLG. 4 M4A4s and the op in Kusta's hands. Going for a full 5 AK buy-up over on Splyce, favoring the mobility, which is interesting since they have 2 very good oppers in Semphis and Davey. And we'll see what they end up doing here. Of course, we are on train, guys. This is the first map of 2. CLG has a 57.4% win percentage, I should say, on this map, 58 and 43. They've played it quite a bit, but so have Splyce. They are right down the middle in terms of wins and losses, 35 and 35 and a 50% win percentage. It's the next map for Splyce that's going to be a bit of a challenge since they only have a 32.4% win percentage on cash, but we'll get there in due time. 55 seconds left in this round as Splyce slowly but surely making their way towards the B site. 3 of them there, 1 lurking towards Ivy, that is Roka, and 1 around T-Con. As 3 members going to go down through Pop Dog. Ricky's waiting for them on top of the blue train, sprays down Mitch, but has to watch Drone go by and take out his teammate, and that is Kusta, who's going to fall off down now. For CLG, Ricky takes a ton of damage in that engagement with Davey, but does win the day. Unfortunately for him, Roka trades out FNS, and then Semphis finds Ricky. Cutler getting the headshot on Roka, now making it a 2v2. Still possible for CLG to pick up their first round here. Cutler, here's the bomb going down. Spraying through that train, prevents it from being planted. That's quite a shot there. Not much space to maneuver. Now drone going to come through Z. Try and take down Cutler. He does, but only 6 seconds left to plant the bomb. 6 seconds left to plant the bomb. Oh, and he's just going to run out of time here. Couldn't find Ethan. I think he was just trying to go for the frag after that bomb plant failed, but CLG going to win their first round as time expires there. And we're heading on into round number 5, guys. Ethan, the top player right now for CLG in terms of rating at 1.19, averaging 80.5 ADR. But as I mentioned, Rick is the one who's been standout in terms of his performance in the last few matches. Over on Splyce, you have Davey, 1.10 rating, 81.8 ADR. But he's been struggling as of late. 58 frags only and 66.55 ADR. The one showing up is Drone, top frag in 3 of the last 4 matches in ESL Pro League, and 81 frags overall. And here comes the execute from Splyce. Roka going to get the headshot on Ricky. Kustas trades it right on back. That's a great trade for CLG, but he takes a ton of damage in the process. Hiding behind E-Box now as Drone picks off Cutler, then takes Kusta down as well. Kusta was distracted with Mitch. Did get that 1 frag, but now it's a 3v1. Ethan with the M4A4 stuck inside of connector and a smoke pops off right in front of him. That is not going to help his cause. Davey knows he's there, sees the spray coming through, and somehow, I don't know how, Ethan survives with 2 HP. And now Semphis spraying on through. He might have hit Drone a little bit. Ethan's just going to try and save this M4A4 inside of CT spawn. So another round victory here for Splyce, and that's going to reset the economy of CLG as they just won that previous round. So bomb will explode very shortly. Semphis, who you're seeing right now, another one who's been struggling a little bit in Pro League online action, only 61 frags in his last 4. Splyce 2-2. They lost 2 against Liquid, won 2 against Immortals, and those wins against Immortals actually more important than you might think, as that was the key to at least setting them up to be in this position where they can avoid relegation. I believe I heard Immortals having ping issues as well, so we're going to see how they play in their match. Hopefully they can solve the ping issues and it's not going to be a factor, but sometimes you have to deal with unforeseen consequences or unforeseen events. Roka and Mitch here heading towards Ivy. One member lurking around T-Con, that is Davey, and 2 others just trying to find their frags. Like I guess Splyce is just splitting up here, just trying to find their first opening frag of the round. 2 CZs, a 5.7, an M4A4, and another 5.7 round that out over on CLG Gaming. They're going for a bit of a force buy here, perhaps around that M4A4. Yep, not much money left in the bank, so kind of going for broke here. Ethan waiting for his opportunity to get that frag over around A, but nothing doing just yet. I think there's going to be an engagement happening over around Ivy. FNS probably hears a little bit of noise, a little bit of utility being used here as Splyce going to stack up 4 members coming through Ivy. Oof, FNS about to deal with quite a few people on Splyce. He does not even get a single one. Davey jumps around the corner with the MAC-10, finds one. Ethan's going to have to recover and get the frags. He gets 2, but overloaded by Drone, and that was also Semphis and Mitch coming around the corner. Now Drone sees Cutler, and Ricky is going to come around to try and support. 3v2 here. Bomb going to get planted down on the ground there by Drone, and that is out of sight of both Cutler and Ricky. Cutler having that CZ and the body armor, might want to save it for the next round. Ricky's the same story there. He has an HE and body armor, about the same amount of money for both of them spent in this round. And I think they're going to do exactly that and save it and bring it into round number 7, guys. We are live here. This is Splyce up against CLG Gaming. ESL season number 26. This is the final match day for North America, the 26th match day of the league. And the bomb is going to explode there. Splyce going to win the round once more, and that's their 2nd in a row. CLG Gaming now reeling a little bit. And something I want to say about Splyce is, on paper, these guys should be a lot better than 9-15 overall. I mean, every single one of their players has a career 1 or more KDR. All of them have a rating of, look at this, you have Semphis 1.02, Roka 1.05, Davey 1.10, Drone a little bit lower at 0.98, but he's playing really well as of late. Then you have Mitch, who's the only one maybe that has fallen off the map a little bit. He started the year off, I think it was around 1.38 in terms of his rating, and he has dropped dramatically, struggling to get things going. And if he can step up his game here, could be a very important factor for a Splyce victory. Match going to be paused probably by CLG. Just try and talk things over. See what's up. Seeing in the chat, who picked Train? Actually, these maps were pre-decided, so no one picked any of them. Pre-decided by ESL. So it's just going to be Train and then Cash. But yeah, no, I just wanted to get back to my point. I really think that Splyce has way more potential than a 12th or 11th place finish in ESL Pro League. Let's see if they can get it together on LAN and find their way back to a major again. But right now we're paused here, waiting to get underway once more. I'm not sure if it's a technical timeout. I mean, Mitch's ping is a bit high, but not too much. Over on Splyce, you have Semphis and Davey representing from Canada, Roka, Drone, and Mitch from the US. And over on CLG, an interesting mix of nationalities. FNS from Canada, Cutler, Kusta, Ethan from the US, and Ricky, Australia. Australian coming across the pond there. My horrible Australian accent. But anyway, to join the US and North American side. And here we go. Pause will now come to an end. And CLG going to be looking for their second round victory, but it will be a save round, so we'll see if they can pull it off. I'm surprised to see the 5.7s for CLG. See how most of the teams now running 5cc since they're just so effective and debatably the best pistol now in the game since the 5.7 and the Tech 9 were nerfed. But 5.7 still effective in its own right. CLG probably sees something in it if they're still running it. Cutler going on top of the blue train here in Splyce, taking their time, burning time off the clock. A Molly going to be thrown there in towards Ivy, preventing, of course, that push. Hands that little behind the little cubby there, or the little box over down there. Roka going to throw that HE back towards Kusta, and then set up to throw smoke. Sempis could engage here with Ricky. Just a moment, he will, and misses nothing. He gets a perfect shot on the head of Ricky. That's a quick 5v4. Is an eco round, as mentioned, for Counter Logic Gaming. They have 2 USPSs, a P2000, and that 1 CZ. In Cutler's hand. Cutler does make work of it. Getting the headshot on Davey, finding one, and maybe able to pick up the gun that Davey had as well. Mitch is going to come around. Hits Kusta in the leg with the op. Now Roka's going to use a lot of utility and try and pinch in and get a crossfire going with Semphis. Cutler standing on top of the bomb train here. The bomb still has not been spotted out, but all of CLG have rotated off the B site. So B site completely clear, and Roka's making them think it's an A hit. Ethan does rotate around in time to see Semphis, who's only a 1 hit away from death. He does find that, but now he's going to have to deal with Roka from the flank. Roka makes no mistake. Ethan is now history with Cutler and Kusta, the last 2 standing. They only have 15 and 7 HP. Less than 25 combined there. Kusta has picked up the MAC-10 off the ground. Cutler only has the CZ and his body and head armor. Might want to save. I'm not sure if they're going to go for this one. Doesn't look like it. They don't have the kits to do it. They have to get 3 members that are fully loaded and armed. And it's just too tall a task at this point. Not worth throwing away these guns. They're going to try and get some exit frags though. Drone sticking around CT. Cutler's going to try and catch him off guard. He comes around and gets the frag. Good job by Cutler. If he can pick up that gun, it's mission accomplished. He will. And there you go. AK in hand. A MAC-10 for Kusta. And the rest of their teammates will be able to get guns as well. There should be enough money to go around there. Double op setup coming in, as mentioned. CLG do have quite a few oppers. Ricky, Cutler, and Kusta all able to play with the op. This time it's going to be Ricky and Kusta. Eighth round of action here. Ricky double stacked in there and connector with his teammate. And that is Cutler. And Cutler's now going to move out onto the A site, 4 members of CLG playing on A, only 1 on B. So if Splyce goes for that B hit, it will be an easier take than A, but they're going to come on to A, and Ricky boosted on top of that booth inside of Z. Gets not 1 but 2. Mitch and Davey going to fall. Ethan gonna hear the bomb get planted inside that smoke. He's spraying away, finally connects. There he goes. Just had to move over a bit to the right and did. Drone falls, leaving only Semphis and Roka. Then FNS around the corner gets Semphis, who doesn't check his corner. Roka, last one standing, fires away at Ricky. His position is given away. Now they're going to close in on him. 4 CLG members here to try and wrap this up, but Roka gets that tap on FNS. Nice shot. Sprays down Ethan, then gets Ricky as well. He's going to do it. My goodness, Roka comes out with the hero play. 4K for him in a 4v1 that looked impossible to pull off, but I guess it's Roka. Another highlight for him. Unbelievable showing there. Splyce now up 7-1, and I think CLG going to call another timeout. You cannot lose a 4v1 when you know where he is and you can close in on him and get an easy trade. They went at him pretty much 1v1, and I got to give credit to Roka. That was great spray transfer as well to get those 2 kills in between. But wow, talk about a play that could turn the tide of the match entirely in the favor of Splyce. Hope you guys are enjoying the show so far. I am John, JRT Tsupanarius. And if you are liking this, you can hit me up with a follow at JRT TV with 2 E's at the end. As mentioned, CLG just needs 1. They just need 1 win. Their fate is in their own hands here. 1 of these maps in their favor, they can sign their ticket to the finals or the playoffs. But it's going to be a tall order. I think they might have a slight advantage on the next map since, you know, Splyce has notably struggled on cash throughout their existence. And we'll see here. It's not over yet, but Splyce pulling off quite an impressive T side. And that clutch by Roka certainly not going to hurt their chances of winning here. Drone going to throw a pop flash in there towards B. 3, 4 Deagles that bought up for CLG. 1 CZ for FNS. And they're just going to play default here on Splyce, waiting for CLG to potentially push. Not a bad idea. CLG might be getting desperate, and they know it. So an aggressive push isn't necessarily out of the question. They still have 4 stacked on the A site. And 1 playing on B, as usual, that is FNS. I cannot believe that Roka pulled off that round. We should be looking at a complete different buy-up right now, but here we are. 9th round of play, CLG down by 6 rounds, and perhaps a bit of a fake execute coming in by Splyce. They're going to throw a lot of utility over on A. Ethan comes around towards Ivy, and now they're going to come out 3 from Ivy, 2 from T-Con. Kusa getting 1 with the Deagle headshot, but then burns alive, or close to burns alive. He gets finished off by, I think it was Mitch. 3 more frags coming in for Splyce, and at the end of all of that, it is a 3v2. Ricky still standing, showing off his skills with the Deagle, getting that headshot over on Mitch. The flashbang, or excuse me, the smoke is going to come off and block Ricky and FNS's vision onto that site. It's a good smoke thrown by Drone, also planting the bomb. But Ricky and FNS have picked up AKs, and they're going to boost over the smoke. Drone right next to it. He's going to patiently await perhaps their arrival. I don't know if they're going to want to go for this. Ricky's already backing off towards Ivy. I think they just want to bring these AKs into the next round. It's not a bad play. You look at their economy, it's not so bad. They're going to have a pretty strong buy-up, and with these AKs, they can buy all the utility they need. Whoever doesn't have enough money to buy the utility and a rifle will get these AKs dropped to them, or perhaps, of course, an M4 if someone wants to keep the AK. Anyway, after that mouthful, Splyce going to win their 8th round here. And let's check out what's going on the scoreboard. Look at Roka, 13-5. That 4K clutch in the 4v1 certainly helping get him to that point. Drone 12-3. He continues to dominate here in ESL Pro League. And Davey 5-5. The rest of them just kind of along for the ride. You don't need to get the frags when your team is doing this well, so letting Drone and Roka do the grunt work. Ricky over on CLG is 8-7, but the rest of his teammates below 500. They are going to have to pick it up big time here and train. Statistically, even though that might not matter, in a lot of cases, depending on the strategy you're up against, it statistically is a CT-sided map. Ethan Gonna go into the B side, finds Mitch and Drone, and then a third on Semphis. They were trying to charge in. Ethan shut them down. Perhaps a little bit of overconfidence from Splyce, moving into that B site on the ramp, and they just got mowed down by Ethan. Not a single member of CLG gonna fall there. So now it is gonna be 8-2. CLG managing to get their second round victory. I think that Splyce is going to buy up here. They certainly have enough money. Might have to settle for a Galil and a CZ there. And they will. And there we go. Lots of utility to use here for their execute. It's Davey. Going to follow Semphis and Drone into that B site. Roka's going to jump down as well. And they're going to try to recover from that previous round where they got a little too overconfident, rushed out, and underestimated the potential of Ethan, who is the newest addition to CLG, and he's a young guy, young kid, 17 years old, 1.19 rating, and an 80.5 average ADR over his career. So he's very strong, a lot of potential for him, and he gets another one there over on Drone. Now he gets traded out by Roka. It's going to be a 4v4 for a moment until Cutler finds Semphis. Oh, Kusta tried to get through that molly. That was a mistake. He burns alive. And Mitch gets a free frag. FNS going to come get Roka. The bomb did get planted. Davey and Mitch going to try and defend it here. Ricky behind that smoke throws another one of his own to block off the view of Davey, and that isolates Mitch. FNS comes around the corner, finds him leaving, only Davey standing. Splyce did pull it off before when Roka was still standing, and they might try to do it again. Davey in a 1v3, now a 1v2. Frags FNS, Cutler and Ricky coming around to try and do this. They are going to be able to. Diffuse will come in as Cutler gets the headshot on Davey. Cutting it close once more, though, as they get their third round victory overall. 8-3 now for Splyce. We're in round number 12. Splyce has already secured the 8 rounds to at least ensure that this first half belongs to them. Still 4 rounds left to play. CLG doesn't want to fall to a score of something maybe like 10-5 or 11-4. Or sorry, 10-5 or 11-4. But Splyce has been very strong so far. Molly going to be thrown there quickly by Splyce towards upper B. And Ethan going to get flashed out here. 4 members of Splyce trying to go to this B site. Perhaps the same kind of execute as did before with 3 of them coming down that ramp. Ethan's going to be challenged again. But this time around, Splyce, 3 CZs, 2 AKs. Not exactly the buy-up they had before. And here they come, charging on in. Ethan gonna find one. Cutler gets one as well. No one from Splyce has responded yet, but there's Mitch to find Ethan. FNS spots out Mitch right back at you, he says, and he gets that frag. 2 left now for Splyce. 1 HP and 15 HP though. They do get the bomb plant, so I would say at least that money's in the bank. Mission accomplished for them. FNS and Kusta wrap it up though with the frags on a very lit Semphis and Davey. And they're gonna get this defusal with ease. And it's gonna be a 4th round victory for them. So Splyce, bit of a hiccup here in their first half. They did get the money from the bomb plant. So, looking at the economy for them, you have 3 rounds left to play. You can't get a really strong buy up here. They could have bought AKs with very limited utility, but the better play would be to go with pistols, armor, and a light utility buy up. And that's exactly what they're going to do. 2 CZs, 2 Desert Eagles, and the Glock for Mitch. You have to be wary of that Glock though. You see pros favor it sometimes when they're trying to save a little bit of money because it was buffed, as many of you know. That Glock can get you in 2 hits to the head, even when you have armor now. So it's no slouch. The execute going to come onto the A site. Splyce trying to execute quickly here. FNS, here's a lot of footsteps coming out. He flies out of Pop Dog, finds one, but then Roka trades him out, and that M4 is lying on the ground. A juicy pickup there for Roka. He gets one. Ricky gets the Kobe over on Drone with that HE. It's a 4v3. Then he lines up Semphis, gets him, and Kusta falls Davey, leaving only Roka, who's just stuck in no man's land. Ricky finds the frag, and that'll be that. Counter Logic Gaming picking up their 3rd consecutive round in a row. It is now 8-5. Splyce has the full buy up here. They're looking for their 9th, and Counter Logic is just trying to prevent them from getting into double-digit round victories on their T side. If they can make this 8-7, it'll definitely be salvageable and give themselves a good opportunity to go onto their T side and get right back into this. Roca. Flash right there. Doesn't do anything to Ricky, who's trying to out-op Mitch right now. Drone comes out, finds the frag on FNS, but Cutler trades it back with 1 and 2. 1-2 punch coming from him. Drone and Semphis are his victims. Now Splyce short-handed with only 3 versus 4 over on CLG. Roca, Davey, and Mitch. Gonna try and regroup now. They're all scattered across the map. Davey. Just trying to get some map control towards B. There is still only 1 member of CLG over on that B side. Mitch gets the frag on Ricky. And CLG, Kusta, and Cutler just going to stay put. So no trade going to come in. Ethan has his feet firmly planted on that B site. No bomb spotted. And they know Splyce can come from anywhere. So it's good that they're not over-rotating here. There's a lot of utility used there. A couple of flashbangs from Counter Logic Gaming. They still have 2 flashes and 2 mollies to use. Splyce playing the time effectively here. 33 seconds remaining for their execute to come in. Davey going to charge up from upper B. Sees Ethan, but has to fall down onto the site lest he wants his head to be taken right off. There's that bomb going to get planted. Mitch waiting patiently for someone to come from the flank. That is Kusta, and he makes no mistake, making it now 3v2. Splyce gonna win their 9th. Ethan and Cutler trying to prevent that from happening. Ethan jumps on top of the oil train, gets the headshot on Roca with a good spray down. Now they're gonna move into this 2v2. Davey, oh, that's not the best of spray downs, but he recovers to get the headshot on Cutler. Then Mitch flies around, finds Ethan, and Splyce do indeed come back to get that round victory. It is 9-5. We are in the final round of this first half. Counter Logic Gaming trying to prevent Splyce from getting into that double-digit round victory territory. They're going to force up pretty much everything they can buy. They have a strong economy at this point, though, since they won so many in a row. So we're going to see the auto from Ethan. All right. Sure. Why not? 4 AKs for Splyce and the op from Mitch. Mitch going to stare right into that smoke. FNS playing here. Ricky not playing towards Ivy this time. He's actually on that B site with 2 members from Splyce. Trying to get some ground gained here, or maybe just make some noise and distract CLG. CLG now switching up a little bit. They are playing 2 members on the B site instead of 1, and FNS has now switched with Ricky, as I just mentioned. Instead of being on B, he is over near Ivy. Cutler waiting patiently for the Splyce members to join up and come into his crosshairs, but I don't think they're going to go that direction. Maybe Davey's going to come out and try to find frag or 2 and distract CLG into thinking the hit's going to come from there, but the bomb is actually, of course, going to be going towards that B site. No commitment yet, though. Still could jump down towards Pop Dog and hit A, but it doesn't look like it's setting up that way to me. Drone going to come out, finds a headshot on Ethan. That's a great shot all the way down that long B area. And then gets another one on Ricky. So Drone stepping up for his team. And now gets a 3rd. FNS is next victim. Mitch finds 1 as well. And all of a sudden we're looking at a 4v1. CLG just got picked apart 1 by 1 in this round. Now Drone going to come out. Tries to get Kusta. Had an idea he might be there. Doesn't find it. Kusta still standing. Going to get flashbang very slightly. Pops around the corner, but there are just too many Splyce members holding that angle. He gets sprayed down. And Splyce do indeed find their 10th round victory. 10-5 in their favor on their T side. Well executed for them. Played the time well. Were patient. And pulled it off. CLG now going to have to do the same to Splyce. Try to come out with a victory here on Train. We'll see if they can do so. Guys, I am, of course, JRT. If you're enjoying this, you can hit me up with a follow over on Twitter at JRTTV with 2 E's. At the end, you're watching ESL Pro League Splyce versus Counter Logic Gaming. Splyce sitting at a record of overall of 9-15. They're 12th in the standings. They do have an opportunity to avoid the relegation match, though. Immortals are playing right now, and if Immortals lose both their matches and Splyce only wins 1, then Splyce will indeed avoid relegation. If Splyce, I don't know, if they manage to win 2, it should make it a lot easier, of course. CLG has a lot more at stake, in my opinion, than Splyce. They had a great start to this season, have lost the last 3, though, and they just have to win 1 match to get into the playoffs, guys. So we're waiting for the second half to get started here. CLG, 325 rounds won this season, 305 rounds lost, so they have a differential of +20. And this is the stat that surprises me the most. I mean, look at Splyce, 255 rounds won, 311 rounds lost, differential of -56. Everything baffles me about Splyce, though. I think they're such a great team. They have so much potential, so much talent. But just online, at least, not doing the best of work as of late. This is so far going well for them. 10-5 up on CLG. We'll see what's going to happen. Still waiting for this second half to get started. Average ADR for each player on CLG over the past 4 matches. You have Ricky, 86.37, Cutler and FNS sitting at 69, and then Kusta down at 62.75. So not the best of ADRs, but I think that was due to the fact they lost 16-1 against Optic. An absolute demolition derby for Optic. And that was on cash. They did beat Optic on Train. You know, Train, one of the better maps for CLG, of course. When you lose 16-1, oof. That's a tough go. And they lost their next 2 matches to Complexity, 16-14 and 16-10. But going back to the ADR, Ethan, as mentioned, very talented, 73 frags over the last 4 matches and an ADR of 78.48. Looking at Splyce, Drone, 90.45 ADR. Man, that is just an impressive stat in and of itself. He's looking at top frag again here. That would be 4 out of the last 5 matches as top frag. And it looks like CLG has someone who's disconnected. Probably going to rejoin the server in just a moment. But yeah, Mitch, 73.98. Roka, 82.05. Really good as well. Davey, 66.55. Lowest on the team, but he has been struggling as of late. That doesn't really... I mean, he's still the highest rated player on the team, though. So recent struggles not necessarily going to impact him too much in the long run. And Semphis, 61 frags and 75.97 ADR, guys. So we're still waiting to get going with this second half. CLG down by a score of 10-5 against Splyce. And someone who has disconnected here. We have Ricky, FNS, Ethan, Cutler. I think it's Kusta. Yep, Kusta has left the server here for reasons unbeknownst to me. Maybe if someone knows what's going on, that would be great. But yeah, we're just waiting for Kusta to come back in here so we can get going again. This scoreline would be very different if it weren't for Roka. I mean, you guys saw the work that he did over on that A site in a 4v1 when he was pinched in from every angle pretty much. Managed to spray down 2 almost simultaneously and play a 1v1 on the remaining players. Just a thing of beauty. So we're looking like we have everyone back in the server here. Kusta has rejoined and will likely be underway in just a few moments. And there we go. So, second half of action gonna be underway here, guys. Splyce versus Counterlogic Gaming, ESL Pro League Season 26. This is the final match day for the season and Counterlogic Gaming's final chance to make sure they get to the playoffs. If they lose 1, it's fine. If they lose 2, well then, they are at the mercy of Cloud9 and Luminosity. If Cloud9 and Luminosity surpass them, they still could have a playoff spot. But if NRG wins 1 map in this situation, CLG would miss the playoffs entirely. That would be devastating. But as mentioned, it's their spot to lose. Cutler pops around the corner. Gets a headshot on Mitch, but can't get the frag. He's probably scratching his head a little bit there. Just a little too far with the Glock, perhaps, to get the finishing touch. And now, still going to be a 5v5, each team taking their time. Roka and Semphis stacked up here, defending on CT side and Pop Dog. Counterlogic, after firing on through there at T-Con, going to make their way through the bathrooms here. Or the showers. And Cutler, Kusta, Ethan, and FNS all going to be grouped up here very shortly, with the trailer being Ricky. Here comes the execute into the site, and use whatever utility they have on hand. I think that's one smoke, 2 flashbangs going to come in. And there they go. Smoked off Z. Davey and Mitch going to try and retaliate here from a distance. No one falling yet. Finally, there's the first frag of the round. Roka finds Ricky. Ethan jumps up towards that red train, finds Mitch, and now it's a 4v4. FNS, good positioning on Roka, frags him, then flies around the corner, finds a second on Semphis, desperately tries to reorient himself to get drone as well, but cannot. So now it's up to Ethan and Cutler to win this round for their team. They absolutely need this pistol round. It's very important for them to get back into this one. Drone somehow unable to take out Ethan. Now fakes the defusal, and Ethan trying to engage over with Davey. He does, finds Davey with the shot. Drone now going to have to abandon the bomb to try and track down Ethan. He does not have a kit either, so he's going to run out of time here. Well played by Ethan to turn around and find the frag on Drone's teammate and then get the final one over on Drones. It's a 2K for him, and an important one, as now CLG sitting at 6 rounds, 10-6, and they're going to have a pretty good buy-up coming up. Taking a bit of a risk here, going with the AKs in the second round. You lose those ones, though, to anything from Splyce, and it spells trouble, as you're just giving them a free AK for the following round. And Splyce can do a lot of damage here on this eco. 3 CZs, a Deagle, and a Scout. Drone. Waiting here with Mitch over on A. It looks like a 4-man stack for Splyce on A. One playing in heaven, only one on B. That is Davey. And I think FNS spotted him out. Yep, he's wallbanging and trying to find him. A nade falls in front of Davey's face, does about 10 damage to him, so he's down to 57 with that wallbang damage and the nade combined. CLG gonna throw this nade into Pop Dog. That's gonna greet Semphis for 5 damage. Not too much. Semphis survives and takes out the falling Kusta, who just cannot find a way to get that frag. So Semphis now gonna have a gun in front of him, but he's gonna wait patiently. It's a smart move. Doesn't go for it because he knows someone's gonna probably try to follow up and get the frag. He just backs off. 2 AKs. Still standing here for CLG, so they still have those. And they will probably make the difference here. Mitch does find another frag there on Ethan, so now CLG only has 3. FNS comes around, gets Roka. But that 1 AK is down. Splyce still hasn't retrieved it, of course. Drone walking up here. Cutler waiting around the corner. Drone looking exactly in that direction, but just cannot find a way to finish Cutler off. Cutler surviving with 7 HP. Davey flies around from Z, gets FNS with the CZ headshot. Now it's winnable here for Splyce. 3v2 trying to eco CLG. Ricky flies around looking for Mitch. Jiggle peeking a little bit. Davey, oh, Davey sneaked up entirely on Cutler. He has no idea, and he gets him. Ricky finds Semphis, so now it is a 2v1. Splyce trying to get to this bomb. Ricky sprays down Mitch, looking for the third and final frag here. Smoke thrown by Davey, but Ricky holds on by the skin of his teeth to give Counter Logic Gaming the round victory. So that's going to make it 7 for Counter Logic Gaming and 10 for Splyce. But man, that is a lot of hardware dropped on the ground there for CLG. 2 AKs and a Galil that they're going to have to rebuy here. And look at what that does to their economy. 0, 50, and 50 for FNS, Ethan, and Kusta respectively. I think Cutler and Ricky still have a decent amount of money in the bank, but that hurts you. Luckily for them, Splyce is on a complete save here. 5 USPSs. But in the hands of professionals, those can still win a round for you. They're going for the 5-man B stack. Not unusual when you're on this type of save. As 2 members of CLG are going to come in towards upper B. CLG just trying to feel out what's going on here. They don't want to make a mistake and head toward this stacked B site. I like the play here from Splyce. You have 2 on the bomb train. Davey watching for information. Because those 2 guys on the bomb train, they can rotate around pretty quickly and get to cover depending on where CLG comes from. But that's all moot. CLG gonna hit the A site, gonna have a clean and clear site to plant that bomb. They're still gonna be careful here. Ricky faking that plant just to make sure, and then he's gonna get that bomb planted over on A. So CLG, all 5 members holding onto their angles, and against those 5 USPSs, it's extremely difficult to retake a site. Maybe hold a site against an assault, but once you're trying to retake with the USPSs, it's just next to impossible. Ethan going to spray down Davey and Mitch as they're trying to rotate out of B towards CT spawn. A good hold there for him. And the other 3 actually making their way there as well. I think they're just going to try and frag Ethan. Ethan sees the legs of Drone underneath that train, but exactly the same in turn against him. Semphis gets sprayed down by Cutler, who's coming to the rescue of his teammate. Then Roca as well, leaving only Drone. I mean, there's nothing really to save here. Drone just hiding in the corner. Ricky finds him, and that will be an 8th round victory there for Counter Logic Gaming. 10-8 now. Favor of Splyce and CLG trying to make a comeback here. They've cut the lead. The deficit, I should say, from 5 rounds to 2. And now Splyce gonna have a decent buy-up. They do have to settle for FAMAS in Roca's hands because he'd prefer to have the utility than the M4A4. No op there for Splyce, though. Ricky, Cutler, and Kusta over towards Ivy, using a bit of utility just to get the attention of Splyce, and they're going to back off and retrieve that bomb. FNS and Ethan looking for some information. Maybe a push from Splyce over towards B. They can catch out and give their team a quick advantage. Still nothing doing. Taking their time here as FNS thinking about going down Pop Dog. Just waiting patiently for his team to give him the word. So far, CLG perfect here on this second half, but this is the real test for them. With Splyce having their full buy-up. Cutler waiting patiently here in T-Con as a lot of smoke's going to pop off there. I think that was inside of Pop Dog. Semphis comes around there, and he gets stuck behind the smoke and can't see anything. So an easy spray down there for Ethan. And there's CLG getting the advantage with 38 seconds left. They still have to make their execute work, though. 5v4. Ethan stuck behind E-Box here, but Kusta is trying to set down some fire to give him cover. Doesn't really work as Roca finds not one, but two. Kusta and Ethan do fall. Finally, though, the trade comes in. Ricky frags Roca, leaving only Davey. He's going to try and creep out of Z Connector here. They don't know where he's at. Ricky's going to get this bomb planted. Davey trying to spot out Ricky, but cannot find anything with that opportunity, and Ricky gets the nice headshot. We're gonna get a match pause called here. Avior in the chat, not too happy with the turn of events here. Splyce have kind of let a 10-5 lead slip away on the second half. CLG winning 4 consecutive rounds. Not losing any just yet, and Splyce not going to exactly have a strong buy here. Probably going to get P250s, maybe a CZ here and there, and a little bit of utility. But they're all going to stay above that 2K mark without a doubt here. Veteran player over on Splyce is Semphis. The most maps played out of his teammates, 646. The closest to that is Roca with 459. And over on CLG, you have Cutler, 679, and FNS, 633. You have the rookie Ethan, 309. But like I said, he's got a lot of talent, a lot of potential. Right now, just a very good player, but could become a star player if his talent is nurtured correctly. CLG. Still waiting for likely Splyce to talk things over here. Economy of CLG looking pretty good. Look at this, 8K for Cutler, 6K for Ricky, 4, 5 for Ethan. The only one who doesn't have much cash is Kusta, but Cutler can cover him. Worst case. Checking out the scoreboard here. You have Roca 19 and 14, Drone 18 and 13, and the rest of Splyce below that 500 mark. Roca and Drone have been doing this as of late. At least online, carrying the team with most of the frags. And over on CLG, you have Ricky and Ethan at the top, 17 and 10, 16 and 13. So we're still waiting for the match pause to end, guys. How are you doing in the chat? What do you guys think about all this? Who do you want to win? Who do you want to lose? Which team would you like to see at the next major, CLG or Splyce? Any topic about these two teams is more than welcome. It's really good to see, actually, the past few majors. There's been a lot of NA teams making it there. I remember back, well, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, I think it was only Cloud9, maybe more than a couple of years ago, the only North American team there. And that was really discouraging as a North American to see that. But now things have changed for the better, in my opinion. Lots of good IGLs coming over to NA. Or forming in NA. So we're still waiting, guys, to get going once more here. Extended pauses in this match so far. I mean, this is what, the 4th pause we've seen? 95 ping, says Soul Cardinal. Yeah, the CLG pings are actually pretty high here. Look at this, 81, 80, pretty much 80 across the board. And then on Splyce, it's below 60 for everyone except Mitch. So yeah, that's a good observation there, Soul Cardinal. Olin cheering on Splyce. A lot of Splyce fans I've seen so far here, guys. From you guys, I should say. Greetings from Poland. Greetings back to you from Canada. I'm John JRT Supernarius, guys, your host for this match. And if you're enjoying the cast so far, please hit me up with a follow on my Twitter. That's at JRTTV with 2 E's at the end. I'm actually going to put that up briefly on screen for you here. It's just might make it easier if you see it rather than me saying it. There you go. If you're interested, please, by all means, all support is, of course, appreciated. Let's see what's going on here. If you sit and play, you forget all tournament situations. My game is fair. I'm not sure what you're referring to, Blaze. Easy for CLG, says Diego. You know what, Diego? I'm impartial. I honestly, whoever wins this match, it doesn't really affect me in any way. But having looked at the way CLG has played at the beginning of the season and how they're ending it, for their sake, I honestly hope they just win one match. One of these maps. Just get into the playoffs. Don't end up falling apart at the end of the season. I think they're a really good team. They have some great guys on there. Just get in there. Splyce, on the other hand, I think they, like I mentioned before, they're better than 28 points in this season. They've just had some tough breaks. Cheering for Splyce so Luminosity can have a chance. You know, that's a really good point. I'm sure there are a lot of Cloud9 and Luminosity fans out there saying, okay, like, Splyce, please win. I want to see Cloud9 and Luminosity get in there. And Cloud9 did not help their case last night. I think it was last night where they lost 2 in a row. That's a real shame. How long is this match going to be paused? Super fun. I have no idea. I don't know. We're just waiting to get things sorted. I'm not sure what the pause was called for. I mean, CLG just won 4 rounds in a row. They really have no reason to call a pause. And Splyce, maybe they're talking things over, but for this long, this seems more like a technical timeout. Maybe a technical issue has come into play. Greetings from Brazil, says, oh God, I'm gonna butcher your name. I'm so sorry. But Ibrianese. I hope I got that right. Canada Heart. Well, thank you very much. Brazil Heart 2. Let the best team win and qualify, not depend on other teams. I agree with you, Vladislav. When you're in a position where you have to depend on other teams losing, it sucks. You know? I mean, it's better that the best team goes in. I agree with you 100%. But the better team might be the one that's behind, hoping for them to lose. You have to keep that in mind too. I think CLG has a good team, says Ibrianese, individually, but now they aren't doing well as a team. Interesting. That is true. They are all very individually skilled, and they were doing well as a team, but CLG has had a lot of changes lately. I think it was Hayes that left, Tarek left. You know, now you have Ethan, Ricky, Kusta Cutler. I think at Cutler and FNS. FNS might have left for a bit and came back. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride in terms of roster changes for Counterlogic Gaming. But I think things are settling down now, so it's a good chance for them to kind of pick it up and really get their game in gear. And I would like to see them make it into the playoffs to really see what they're capable of. Game pause. Why? Well, the game is paused because I don't know. I'm actually going to check and see if there's a note here. in the ESL chat, tournament chat. Is anything going on? But looks like there's just nothing. No notes here. So yeah, just a pause that we're waiting to kind of get things going here. Olin says rip C9. They're not out yet, unless they already lost their last 2 matches. From Canada, but watching from Ireland. Went to high school with Davey, so go Splyce, says Salzy. Oh, that's cool. That's pretty cool, man. Energy 1, says Olin. Oh, okay. Well, that's that then. Well, still, maybe not. I think C9 still has a chance. If CLG loses both matches or both maps here, I tried to do the math. I was taking notes for a long time. That they can still overtake CLG if they win. So don't count out C9 yet. Greetings from Sweden. Lots of people internationally watching here tonight. Greetings from Sweden. That's from Tubin. What else are you guys talking about in there? Canada pride from the caster and the crowd. Absolutely. I love Canada. I love being here. Happy and proud to be here now. Don't want to get too much into politics, but I do like our current Prime Minister way better than the previous one. I'll leave it at that, though. Makes me feel much prouder to be a Canadian. What's going on? C9 game is also paused. That is some really good information, Avior. If the C9 game is also paused, then that means something is going on. I'm going to type a quick message. Sorry for my excruciatingly loud keyboard, guys. Got my mechanical keyboard here. I try not to type, obviously, when I'm casting, but in this type of situation, well, just trying to get some info for you. This is taking so long, says Chudipong Bruins. Yeah, it is. Just waiting to get going again. I mentioned it a little earlier, but something that has kind of hurt Splyce as of late, and you can see it again here. Mitch, I don't know what happened to him. Like, he was on fire at the beginning of the year, and then he still played really well, I think, between February and, was it May? Then he just dropped off the map down to a rating of 1.03, from 1.31 to 1.03 in less than 9 months. That is just not good for Mitch. And look at him here, 10 and 12 again. Greetings from Mars. Wow, we have someone from another planet watching here. And then Portugal as well. I love how international the crowd is here. It's the great thing about casting online matches. You can kind of interact with so many people from around the world. LG and Rogue are paused too. Apparently, there are internet... here we go, guys. I got some info for all of you. Apparently, there is an internet issue at the iBuyPower event where a lot of teams are at the moment. So I think Energy and Luminosity were at the iBuyPower event, so those 2 matches probably having issues, and they have to pause for everyone to kind of wait until things get going again. So there's the reason why we're having the pause, guys. At least I got that for you. Turner Stubb saying Liquid Game also isn't started. Just gonna sit around here, guys, and have fun talking to you in the chat about some Counter-Strike or really whatever you want. So we're just waiting for the iBuyPower servers to get back up and running. Bruin saying, I love your voice. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the compliment there. Whoa! Someone saying, I love you. I'm not sure if that was to Chudipong Bruins or me. In either case, a lot of love going around inside the chat. Luminosity Rogue, yeah, is being paused since forever as well. Yeah, that's Luminosity. So there you go. That makes sense then, because Luminosity is actually at the iBuyPower event. They're playing from the PCs on the stage right now, to my knowledge anyway. Hello from Australia, says Benji. Hello. After Immortals got 16 0'd by Energy, they must have destroyed the ESL headquarters. Wait, Immortals lost 16 to nothing? Really? I'm gonna double check that on HLTV. Wow. They did. That is insane. So that's good news for Splyce at least, because holy 16-0. My goodness. Hey, we're back. Match is going again. That was the longest pause I've dealt with in a while, but here we go. 10-9 in favor of Splyce, and we're back at it. CLG looking to continue their streak here on this second half. They have 4 round wins in a row, but that pretty much kills all your momentum when you have a pause like that. So let's see if they can get going again here. Drone. Fire that USPS down Ivy. 3 USPSs and a P250 for Splyce. Ethan. Making no mistake on Mitch, who tries to come out of connector. And then sprays down Drone from a good distance away, all the way down into that tunnel number 1. FNS and Cutler in the meantime find Roka and Davey, and they're just cleaning up here. Ricky spraying through that smoke. He did catch Sempis with one of his bullets. And now he's going to come around. Oh, and Sempis creepily and sneakily creeping on through to Ivy and gets that sneaky headshot. Picks up the AK. Kusta and Cutler do not want him to hang on to that. They're going to pop flash into Ivy. CLG, is their economy good enough to go for this? Indeed. Excuse me. But they should really try and chase him down here. There's no reason to let Sempis hold on to that. That's what they're doing. See FNS holding that angle at the back, and then Kusta pinches in. Sempis has absolutely nowhere to go, and that AK is indeed out of his hands. So CLG come back from a 10-5 deficit, and now we are tied 10-10, guys. This is only map number 1. I'm not sure if map number 2 is going to get pushed back now, because it was actually supposed to start, I think, at 9:10, and it's already 9:16. So I'm assuming the times are all going to get pushed back, so that there's a bit of a pause between matches. In any case, pretty much reset here, guys. Tied again, 10-10, round number 21. Mitch trying to hold this angle upper B. That Molly's going to take quite a bit of health off of him. He's down to 68. Ethan going to come in. Spraying on through that smoke. And there it is. Yeah. Avior says 200 ping for Immortals. That's an interesting point. I was mentioning it earlier that they had about 140 to 200 ping. And that's a shame that ping becomes a factor in deciding whether you're going to win or lose a match. Because who wants to play with 200 ping? We're not on 56k modems anymore. But yeah. Either way, if Immortals lose both their matches, then it actually could be an interesting situation. Because if Immortals lose, then Splyce and Counter Logic Gaming could each split a map each, and they'd both be happy. Because CLG would clinch their playoff spot, and Splyce would avoid a relegation match. Davey, waiting patiently for the push to come in here from the CLG boys. CLG going to throw that smoke and execute onto the B site. Oh, Ethan gets spotted by Davey, who plays this angle perfectly, and they do get the trade. It looked close there for FNS, but Davey unable to connect on a few shots. Ricky comes down through Pop Dog, finds Roko, who's trying to creep through there to get a flank over on CLG, so that's a good play for them, eliminating that possibility. Sempis going to try and get onto this red train. He's with Mitch. And it looks like they're going to fall back. At least Mitch is. Cutler waiting on this site. And yeah, Sempis is going to try to engage the bomb. Still not planted yet. Then finally it goes down. CLJ went all the way back to the A site. And Drone just going to slowly walk away and be like, I don't want anything to do with this. Bye, guys. But perhaps he's actually going to go around and try to rotate to T-Con. Ricky waiting next to T-Con. Could get caught off guard here by Drone, but he's checking both angles. He knows something's up, and I think he might have seen someone go towards Ivy. Gonna be a save here for Splyce. Sempis does find the creep in FNS. Mitch gets the headshot on Ricky, so they're held up here, making sure they get the exit frags. And CLG, Cutler, and Kusta likely just gonna hold on to their guns at this point. No reason to feed more of your economy into Splyce's hands. And that'll be that. So 11-10 in favor of CLG. And we're going into round number 22. CLG has struck back from a 10-5 deficit. They're now sitting at 11-10, preventing Splyce from getting even one round victory here. But Splyce does have a full buy-up now. Double op setup from Sempis and Mitch. Roka, Drone, and Davey rounding up with M4s. And Roka playing on top of this red train at A. Sees a nade fly right in front of his face. And now FNS going to fly around this corner, wide peeking it. Almost catches Mitch out. Mitch managed to survive, and he's going to back off and play a little further back because he does not want to play up close with that op. Cutler and Kusta playing right outside of TCOM. Now they're going to have to back off. No frags on the board yet. Mitch was almost the first victim. Managed to survive and back off. 3 members of Splyce playing on this A site, 2 over on B. Ricky patiently awaiting an ill-advised push from Splyce, but now CLG going to start to execute over onto that A site, throwing a smoke for Z. Smoke between the green train as well. And now here we go. Kusta following up his teammate, and that another smoke coming in from Splyce to block off T-Con, and that is excellent timing. Now they're burning more time off the clock, and I think CLG is going to have to rush a little bit to get their execute going. 24 seconds left. Now Roka spots out Ethan, but CLG does manage to pan out of T-Con and find 2. Drone strikes back for one of his own, but Kusta gets the 3rd. Still not over though. Mitch trades it back. Cutler. And now Davey gets 2. FNS and Kusta. A good double kill spray down by Davey. And Splyce are back into this one with their first round victory of this second half. 11-11. Both teams trading blows here, back and forth. A possibility. Overtime is a possibility now. Cutler going to follow FNS into those upper B tunnels. Or maybe back off. Now he's going to back off, and they're going to execute onto this A site. At least throw some flashbangs and utility there, but the bomb is headed towards B. Looks like it could be a fake here for CLG. They're going to try and drag Splyce off of B and then push right on into it. Either that, or Ricky and FNS are going to drop through Pop Dog and go to A, but it doesn't look like that's playing out. Yep, there it goes. There's the utility coming onto the A site. Faking the execute and trying to sell it, I believe. With Ethan, maybe going to go down through Pop Dog. Davey, though, is not fooled in any way. Holds his ground on the B side, finds FNS, and Splyce has now read this bomb plant, or sorry, read the execute by CLG. The bomb is going to be planted in the B site. Ricky throws the smoke there, and Davey's going to try and flash out. Help his team gain some space. Ricky around the smoke gets a nice frag on Davey, who might not have seen him very clearly as he was hugging the edge of that smoke. Ricky throwing a couple of flashbangs, and good ones at that. Forcing Splyce to back off. Bomb is taken away, buying time for his team. Still a 4v4. Splyce trying to come onto the site. Drone doing work here. Almost gets a 2K spray down. Roka comes in to help, but a great molly thrown there by CLG. That's going to wrap it up because there's no smoke for Splyce to throw to defuse the molly. Bomb is going to explode. Splyce finds Ethan. Then Kusta gets Sempis. Just a ton of mayhem happening on that B site. But after all is said and done, that molly was extremely clutch by CLG, saving it for just the right moment. Roka tried to stick it, but could not, of course, since that molly would have just taken him apart. He died anyway, but yeah. CLG, a great round victory there. 12th for them, and they've reset the economy of Splyce. So now Splyce is going to have 2 CZs, a USPS, P250, and the op that Mitch saved from the previous round. Ooh, whoa. Cutler gets wall banged down to 72. Common wall bang spot there. Sempis going to be waiting around the corner. Mitch could be the pivotal player on Splyce in this round, depending on where CLG decides to hit. If they go to that B site, they only have a USPS to deal with. It is in Roka's hands, though, which could be a problem, but we'll see how they play it. CLG again taking their time. Cutler patiently waiting here inside of T-Con. 2 of his teammates working towards Pop Dog. I think they're actually... yeah, there they go. Ethan and FNS are going to try and jump down, or at least fake jumping down to draw out Sempis. Yeah, that's a great spot up by FNS. Sees the leg of Davey, jumps on top of the head of Ethan, and then gets the frag on Sempis. That is a great individual effort by FNS, ensuring he gets the trade. Now Ricky gets drone, leaving only Roka and Mitch. all of a sudden, things not looking too pretty for Splyce. It was a save round for them. Mitch still has that op in hand, but he's on the B site with the bomb lying on A. In the hands of Kusta, as you see FNS find his third frag of the round on Roka. Mitch, last one standing. Mitch gonna try and peek here towards upper B. Oh, misses an easy shot on FNS. Well, maybe not too easy. He was behind that pillar, so he had to hit it right, thread the needle to an extent. He does get FNS in the end. Ricky trades him right on back, so the op out of the hands of Splyce, and a 13th round victory on the board here for Counter Logic Gaming, and another match pause. Yay! I hope this one doesn't last as long. So 13-11 in favor of CLG. And, you know, props to CLG. They had to deal with, what was that, like a 20-minute or 15 to 20-minute round pause. They came right on back and still going strong here in the second half on their T side. Look at that. Only one loss. 8 round victories here for them out of 9 rounds on the second half. Checking out the scoreboard here. Roka and Drone continue their dominance. 21-19 and 20-17. Semphis, Davey, and Mitch still pitching in. Enough to help their team come out to these 13-round victories. And you look at CLG. Enough to get those 11-round victories. CLG has Ricky 21-14, FNS 19-18, and Ethan 18-17. Everyone's doing pretty well. You have Kusta at the bottom, 5-4. Is that really his record? 5-4? I think that might just be a glitch and we're not seeing. Maybe he just didn't get a frag yet this round, which would seem completely impossible. But in any case, here we go. Match pause has ended, so not one of those lengthy pauses this time around. As Drone gonna jiggle peek around here, just trying to get information or trying to bait out an op shot here. No ops on the side of CLG, of course. Force buy here coming in for Splyce. 3 FAMASes and 2 M4s in hand. Semphis with the M4A1S. Look at this. I think Ricky throwing that smoke towards Ivy. Ricky's lurking towards Ivy here, the only one in that location, as Splyce gonna hold their ground still. Would have been interesting to see if Ricky kind of pushed out, got one frag, and maybe could have baited the rest of Splyce onto that A site. Still gonna be 2 members left on B for Splyce. That is Davey and Roka. Roka playing towards connector, and Davey right on that B site. Cutler lining up his smoke, getting ready to throw that, believe towards Z. They're just waiting, taking their time, but 33 seconds left. Has to come soon, and indeed, now is the time. Ethan gonna push through, followed up by that full flash. That's a great flash thrown there. Gave Ethan an easy frag on Davey. Roka does trade it back, and so does Semphis. They lost 2, but traded 2 in turn. 3v3 now. Semphis gonna fall. Cutler comes out with a very important frag. Roka and Drone still standing. Roka finds one on Cutler, but FNS gets the immediate trades. Some great trade frags coming in from CLG. Don't think they've lost a single teammate without getting a frag in turn. Drone now gonna pop around Oil Train, but Ricky flicks to the head of him, finds that, and that'll be a 14th round victory for CLG. And now Splyce in dire straits here on Train. 11 rounds, but their buy-up is going to be extremely weak here. They have to decide, do we force up and just go for this one, or wait for the next round and concede at least overtime to CLG? I think the only bad thing about overtime is I don't know if 2 points is enough for CLG if they win OT to secure a playoff spot, at least not just yet. We still have another map to play, of course, and nothing's yet been decided here. Splyce with 3 CZs, a Deagle, and a P250, checking out their economy. They're still going to have a decent force buy up the next round if they lose this one. Cutler again waiting patiently. Time ticking down here for CLG. They have pretty much everyone spread across the map. The only ones that are grouped up here are Ethan and FNS, and they don't get that trade, and Mitch comes out and finds Ethan. The only good news out of that is that FNS burned Semphis alive, and Cutler got the frag on Roka, so they did trade those 2 frags back, but 2 AKs now in the hands of Splyce. Drone going to spot out Ricky. That's 3 AKs now. Davey, Drone, and Mitch managed to pick those up, and only 2 members left for CLG. Looks like Kusta does have A-site control, but his teammate Cutler has the bomb, and he's going to have to join him shortly. I don't know if that's going to happen. Kusta does spray down Davey. Now Drone going to engage with Cutler. That's good patience from Drone. Outweighting Cutler there, getting the headshot, and now it's going to be a 2v1. Kusta doesn't have the bomb in hand. He's going to come around from Ivy. This is the right play, of course, since Drone hasn't checked Ivy at all this entire time. He's actually going to go into those B tunnels towards the showers. Kusta should be able to actually recover the bomb here. Mitch is watching T-Con. There's the bomb in his hands. Time is going to tick away, of course. Only 5 seconds left on the round. Kusta's going to desperately go for the plant, but Mitch, wisely waiting there, sprays him down easily, and Splyce not yet out of this one, guys. 12th round victory for them. Clawing their way back into that round with some great individual plays from all of their team members. Everyone pitching in there. And CLG still not able to secure that 15th round. They will have a great buy up here, 4 AKs and an AWP, a little better, slightly better than Splyce's, at least in terms of utility, but Splyce still has 5 mollies to work with. And of course, I think it was 3 or 4 smokes. Okay, throwing that molly in towards Ivy, and then a flashbang followed up. And now he's going to wait patiently, as has been the case for CLG this entire half. I think Splyce wants to play a faster paced game here, but CLG is just taking their time every single round. Still a 5v5, no action happening yet. Ricky the Lurk around Ivy once more. FNS and Ethan are going to try and go into Ivy. I think FNS was trying to climb back on top of that ladder, and he was blocked a little bit by Ethan. Now Ethan moved out of the way. Excuse me, sir, says FNS, and he's going to go right back and join Ethan as they push towards the B site. Semphis has his crosshairs locked into B ramp, but that smoke's going to block off his vision. Davey going to throw that molly. Is that going to go into the smoke? No, it does not. Right ahead of the smoke. So that's going to prevent a push from CLG towards B, and now time again ticking away here on CLG. Gonna have to make their execute soon. 33 seconds left. Kusta has gone out with, I think it was FNS? No, Cutler. Cutler and Kusta going out here towards the A site. Mitch around the corner. Flashbang thrown towards Ivy, but Mitch has a great angle held here. Cutler doesn't check it, and he gets the initial frag. Roka finds 2 more, and Splyce trying to turn things around. Drone gets Ricky. Ricky found 1 before that, and let's look at the damage done. Splyce found 4 members, only 2 for Counter Logic Gaming. And now, Drone gonna go down though, and Ethan's gonna have an opportunity to get the plant. Oof. So not over yet, but Ethan's gonna get flanked here. And he gets the frag anyway. Davey misses all of his shots, and now Ethan has a chance to turn around, and he makes this a 1v1. I think we saw this before, except it was the other way around, with Splyce coming back. Fortunately for Splyce, they do not make a mistake there. Finally getting that last frag. Semphis is the one to get it, and he will get this defusal. And that'll be that. Splyce, 13 rounds now. CLG, you know, that's 2 rounds in a row that they've taken a little too long to get their XU going. And Splyce has made them pay, because when you do that, you just gotta execute and go out with authority. You can't just trickle out 2 people at a time, which they were doing, and then Splyce picking them off 1 at a time. You can't do it that way. So I do like the way they're playing. I do like that they're burning time off the clock, but you have to have a plan set in motion for when you actually execute, which doesn't seem to have happened for the last 2 rounds. In either case, we're gonna get a match pause now coming in. Likely from CLG to talk things over. Their economy is not strong, and they're gonna have to buy up CZs and P250s. 3 CZs for them, a P250, and Kusta, apparently liking that Glock there. Gonna stick with that. Kusta with only 6 frags and 7 deaths if the scoreboard is not glitched out here. See if he can step it up here for his team. Roka, Mitch, and Drone playing on that A site. I think now a couple of members from Splyce actually going to go back. That's Roka, who was inside of Z, thinking about going B, but then backed off and is staying on A. 2 men on that B site, 1 playing default on the bomb train. That is Semphis. And then Davey trying to support him from oil. Mitch waiting and missing his shot on Ricky. A little bit slow on the reaction time there. FNS flies out onto the site, gets Semphis off guard, but Davey and Roka recover big time. Roka with the 3K from 7 bullet 3K from Roka with the FAMAS. That is not easy to do, of course. It is an eco round for Counter Logic Gaming, but still, that was an impressive show. So CLG, even though it looked like they had a bit of a push executed into that B site, was ended by Roka's 3K spray down. Drone getting the final headshot there, and here we are, 14 to 14. Tied up. This is going to 30 rounds, and maybe, as mentioned a little bit earlier, overtime. CLG gonna buy up those 5 AKs. They are on their buy round now. So is Splyce. Mitch gonna have the op, the only op that is up here in this 29th round of play here. Mitch. Whoa, Cutler getting a 2-tap headshot on Mitch. Semphis does creep up from Pop Dog and find FNS. Ethan trying to go for the trade. He does get it through the grate. That's an excellent shot there by Ethan to find Semphis. And now we're going to see a 4v3 CLG trying to secure their 15th round victory and perhaps prevent this one from going to overtime. Davey, Roka, and Drone still standing, defending the sites for Splyce. And again, CLG just burning time off the clock. AK dropped down there for one of the CLG members. So now we have, I think we already had 3 AKs up. Roka playing in heaven here. 2 men on the A site and 1 playing up close. That's Davey. He could catch him off guard here. This is an unusual position. He finds 1, then 2. Cutler and Kusta go down. Then he backs off, and only 7 HP for Ethan. Not even 100 HP now. I think it's 101 HP combined. Ethan falls to Roka, who gets a nice spray down from the AK, and Drone gets Ricky. So it all just falls apart for CLG once more as they try to get into that site. Splyce on match point here, 15 to 14. This has been a seesaw match from both sides. Splyce had a 10 to 5 victory. They saw it disappear. It was 13 to 11 at one point in favor of CLG, and then they came on back, recovered, and are now at 15, looking for match point. CLG needing 1 map victory to secure a playoff spot. I believe that map victory has to come in regulation as well. It all depends on if they do lose both, of course, which we're far from that, but Cloud9 and Luminosity, if they lost both as well, then it would be a moot point whether CLG did anything here. But you'd rather kind of take control of a situation and win a match when you have the opportunity rather than relying on other teams to lose. 15 to 14. CLG on a very weak buy. A Scout, a Galil, a UMP-45, a CZ, and probably Kusta is going to go for a UMP as well. Or maybe not. He wants to get that utility instead. So Kusta, I don't know why he's not buying a Deagle here. He has 950. It's the final round before overtime. There it is. Okay. I was a little worried. Thought he might stick with the Glock for a second. That wouldn't make much sense, but there it is. The Deagle coming out. And CLG trying to push this one to OT. Ricky creeping out here. Kusta decides to take the lead going into that B site. Splyce still not out of this one. I should say CLG not out of this one yet. Splyce trying to seal this one off at 16 to 14 as CLG sets up for their hit towards the B site. They're going to need to get some impressive frags with the guns they have in hand. Davey misses a spray down there on Ricky, who has that Galil and taps Davey down to about 79. Look at that. Mitch gonna get fragged there by Ricky, so a good entry frag into that B site. Roka does trade it back immediately. Ricky trying to spot out Roka and does. Good tap headshot from the Galil. 4v3 now, and the bomb is planted. Semphis, Davey, and Drone gonna have to go for the retake here. Bomb ticking away. CLG slowly but surely creeping up on Splyce to try and close down those angles and give them limited space to work with. Drone gonna come in, finds Ethan now. Semphis from connector as Kusta gets the trade on Drone. Then Davey comes back, finds Kusta. 2v2. Bomb gonna get the fuse. Semphis finds the frag on Cutler, leaving only Ricky to try and spray down the final member, defusing it, and he will not. Semphis frags Ricky. That is all she wrote, folks. Splyce, 16-14 victory on map number 1. What a match it was. Come back from CLG to try and win this one, but they just fell that much short. Just so close for them. But at the end of the day, Splyce helps their cause winning that match. I think that Splyce has actually ensured that they will not get relegated now. I'm not sure. Let me double check this. Yeah, I think so. I think they might have. I'll redo the math after and once we get back. But in any case, guys, that is all for this matchup. We'll be back, I think, in about 20 minutes for the next map. That's going to be on Cash. I am John, JRT Tsupanarius, and I do hope you're enjoying the cast. And if you are, head on over to my Twitter, at JRTTV, with 2 E's at the end, and hit me up with a follow. Would really appreciate that. We will be back in about 15 to 20 minutes with the next match, and I'll see you then.